Hi there, it's Mary with Mary's Stampin' Cafe. Thanks so much for stopping in at my recorded and uploaded Saturday stamping video. Here I have a wide range of beautiful cards, all the same layout but featuring a little bit different colors for my Make a Card, Send a Card groups. So for 6 months out of the year, I host a Make a Card, Send a Card groups where you get to create 6 cards for 6 people, and then you mail them by the 6th of the month to those 6 people, and you then in return get 6 cards back from 6 different people. What's so wonderful about it is you get to have and create new friendships, all about crafting and stamping, getting those friendships, sharing tips and tricks, and getting to see each other's beautiful cards. Well, I have an awful lot of them here. I don't have just 6. I actually, in this round of our spring Make a Card, Send a Card, I was in 2 groups. So I would be sending out 12 cards. Well, yes. And we had somebody halfway through who became very ill, and so I went ahead and said I would, for the rest of the couple of months, I would then fill in for her. And so I am getting ready to mail these out, and I wanted a chance to share with you just some tips and tricks that I have when I'm having to create a lot of the same thing. And sometimes I find some products that aren't necessarily Stampin' Ups that I just happen to have on hand and say, why not just use those and add the beautiful Stampin' Up things to them. So I'm going to show you this card today. I'm going to show you where I got some of my things here. And I hope you enjoy creating. Here we go. Let me collect these up and set them aside. If you're a subscriber, thanks so much. If not a subscriber, well then click that subscribe button please so you are notified when I create a video. Well, I want to share with you, I happen to have a couple packs of these Recollections cards and envelopes. 10 cards with 10 envelopes, and I had a couple of packs of these just sitting in my crafting stash. I think when I am out and I'm in crafting stores, I always love to go to those clearance bins, and I think these were in clearance at the time because I generally won't spend money on crafting store products just because, I don't know, I'm a Stampin' Up purist because Stampin' Up has really high quality products that coordinate so well together. So now this is the card, and you can see it has this opened frame, beautiful floral frame. But what I also want you to notice is how absolutely flimsy this is. This is so absolutely flimsy. It is not any kind of cardstock, really. I mean, cardstocks have different thicknesses, but this is almost just like a heavy printer paper. So you would not want to just stamp on this and send it to somebody. It's just so flimsy, but that's okay because we know we can add wonderful high quality thicker cardstocks, beautiful designer series paper, and create something beautiful. The other thing I have is I had a package, again, 3D foam tape. They're these little squares, so they're kind of that, give that dimension like our Stampin' Dimensionals do. And I happen to have this. I think, again, it was something that was on a clearance special and thought, why not? I'll grab it, you know, and have it here. So we're going to use those. So let's go ahead and create our wonderful card. So for this card, I'm going to be using the Inked and Tiled beautiful 6x6. Oh, please don't notice my nails, just beautiful color, but I have got to get this nail polish off and get a manicure. So crazy. My nails grow so fast. But anyway, now that's all you're going to look at, right? So this Inked Botanicals Designer Series paper is just so beautiful. It has that late summer, fall into fall, just designs and beautiful designs on it. Now, when you are going to use something and put it in this delicate frame that has those white die cut flowers, you want to be careful and not use anything too busy. So for example, I'll just grab one of my pieces, just even this. Like if I were to put this behind here, it's just, it loses those flowers. So you want something that is pretty calm, doesn't have a lot of color differentiations. And so I'm using this piece here. I could put this beautiful Calypso coral piece, and that would work pretty good. But this actually for me works beautifully. Now the other thing I want to share with you is I'm not just going to put designer series paper here, because even when I do that, when I open up the card, I've got this on the inside. I'm not one that likes to have something on this side of the card, and when I put that together, it's still, with the designer series paper, pretty flimsy. Our designer series paper is pretty good quality, and this actually is probably twice as thick as this card base. So that's saying something. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue my designer series paper to a piece of basic white. I have cut these two pieces to just about 5.5 and just about 4 1/4. I went 1 niche. I went a 1/16 back on each side so that I could layer them into here. I don't want to make it exactly the 5.5 or 4 1/4 going across, because you need to remember the card will close, and as you add more layers, this folded edge, we don't want to stress it. So I'm going to go ahead and just glue to this. Going to go right to the top and straight down. So what I want to make sure when I go ahead and put this in here and I glue it in, I'm not going to have any of it showing on the outside of the card, and that will lay in there just really nice. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about this part of adhering this card to those layers. So I'm using the mono-adhesive liquid glue, the multi-purpose, sorry. And I am just doing a dab in the center of each of those flowers. Then I'm just going to do tiny little drops all along. I'm not going to do a line because I can't draw a straight line even if I tried. So I'm just going to do little tiny dollops. I'm not even squeezing the bottle. There must be pressurized pretty good. Now where there's these leaves here, I'll go up just with a little bit there, and right in here a little. There we are. Okay. The next thing I'm going to do is take my designer series paper that I've glued to the basic white, and I'm going to bring that to the seam, make sure I'm even top and bottom, and then I'm just going to lay this down. And using the glue is good for this, the liquid glue, so when you have to move things around. And I'm not quite on that edge of the fold. And that again is because I don't want to stress this binding on this folded side here. And then I'm going to simply press down. And you can see how well those die-cut flowers stand out against that misty moonlight background, but there's still interest in that designer series paper. We really want this frame to stand out. And there we are. Isn't that pretty? That is so pretty. Now the other thing I have is for the inside of the card. Remember I said this is pretty flimsy? So I have a piece of 5 1/4 by 4 of the Lost Lagoon cardstock, and I'm going to put that as a layer on the inside. This is where we'll start evening out our weights of the front and the inside of the card. So I'm going to put that down on the inside like so. All right, so pretty so far. So now for me, I thought this was a great buy, right? It had it in my crafting stash. Awesome. I'm going to pull it out from my Make a Card, Send a Card group, and since I have to do 18 of them right now, it really helped me not have to die cut a whole bunch of fronts. In fact, if you aren't going to be making a lot, the Darling Detail Dies is a perfect die to put and do for a frame on the front of a card just like that. And I've done some cards and posted them using the Darling Detail dies. So I am going to grab, for the sentiment for my card, in the Something Fancy dies, which has some beautiful different tags and greeting labels like this. And I have a piece of white. Let's see. I need just a scrap of white because I am going to stamp. I'm going to stamp a greeting, die cut it out. Oh, I have a scrap right here. Yay. Gonna bring up my mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. This boho blue. If you're thinking about getting a mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine and you can't find it in a catalog, it will not be there, but it will be on the online exclusives. You just go to Stampinup.com, shop, all, and look for die cutting, or simply key in the search mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, and this beauty will show up for you. July 6th is a release of some new online exclusive products. The horse and sleigh that you've maybe been seeing some things on. It's a great suite of products for that. All right, so I'll go ahead in my Something Fancy dies and put that back in. So I went ahead and I pulled out the Charming Sentiments. The Charming Sentiments are going to work perfect for this because I want my sentiment just to go right over here, and I don't want it to take up a lot of room. Faith over fear, and then everything will be okay. We have some pairing sentiments in this set, which is fabulous. So let's get our Lost Lagoon, my beautiful monochromatic card, my favorite type of stamping. If you've subscribed to me, you know I love monochromatic. Now this is a very juicy pad, so I don't need to press down very hard at all. That's what we tend to make mistakes when we're stamping, is realizing Stampin' Up's ink pads are already stored, that upside down idea. So when you open up your pad, all of the ink is right there on the surface, so you don't need to press really hard. Since I have that open, I'm going to go ahead and bring in the inside of my card layer. This is cut at 5 by 3 3/4. It goes right here on the inside, perfectly layered. And I have the Everything Will Be Okay sentiment. That's going to go right in the center. Very nice. And then, of course, I'm going to bring in the Darling Detail stamp set, because this little flower right here is so beautiful. It is a 2-step stamping, and so let me show you about that. So here I have my beautiful flower. Please notice we've got the little double petal hump right here and another 2 right there. And so just always pay attention to those things, because when you're going to do 2-step stamping, you have the outside of the beautiful flower, and then you have the inside. Now I'm going to have that turned up again. Here's my double petal here and there. Perfect. Now Lost Lagoon is very dark, so I'm going to stamp off, and then I'm going to bring it back over, line it right up, and stamp down. And look at that beautiful 2-toned detailed flower. I think that this is the prettiest little flower set. The 2-step stamping, I just love it. Everything about it. I'm not a huge flower person, but I love the fun flowers. I will always get those fun flowers. So the Cheerful Daisies is another suite of products that's wonderful, and I do have a specialty class with the Cheerful Daisies, which are fun flowers as well. There we go. Isn't that beautiful? So now this is simply going to be our main focal point, and we're going to bring in a piece of this Lost Lagoon so we can have our beautiful accented flower, which is in the Darling Detail dies. There is a fun flower right here that I'm going to grab. It's this one right here. It is beautiful. Now, I would usually tell you on these detail dies, you will want to use adhesive sheet. Adhesive sheet is something that you just add to the back of the cardstock so that once you've die cut out this beautifully detailed die, which is awfully hard to then glue without getting glue all over, you can just peel that adhesive sheet and it already has all that adhesive for you on the back of your image already that you've die cut. Well, I'm not doing that because part of my flower is going to hang off and I don't want then that to have the adhesive on the back because then it will kind of flop and stick where I don't want it to. And I'm sorry, I'm just moving my mat all over the place. So let's set those over and bring in our beautiful liquid glue again. And remember, a little goes a long way. In fact, this again is pressurized. And so these little dots are just coming out right on their own. So I'm just going in the center of the flowers and right there on that tip of the leaf. Then I'm going to bring it right in here. And see how my flower's over the edge just a little bit. I just need to press this for a minute. The liquid glue is a wonderful thing because it gives you a little time to move if you need to move a little bit of your papers. And then it goes really quick. So this is hanging over the edge and I didn't want that to have adhesive on because then that would be a little bit of a problem. So now I'm going to go ahead and turn this over and let's bring in these 3D foam tapes. Now, since I do a lot of these to mail out, thought, well, I'll save some of my Stampin' Dimensionals and I'll just bring these little guys out, okay? And, you know, it's okay. They come out. Sometimes they come out 2 at a time, and then I'll just put the 2 together. It's okay. And I can push them apart and put them in just like so. But you have to be careful sometimes on these. You can see it right here. So see how they're coming apart here? Well, over here, they're not coming apart because whatever they're using to cut through or to chop to make sure they're separated, they're not separated very good in some of the places. And so what happens is that you're not able to pull them apart. The other thing on here that kind of drives me a little crazy with these is you go to just pick up 1 or 2, you know, and you all of a sudden get a whole line of them coming out, and then you got to kind of try to put them back down. And then they're just kind of all over on here. So what I found when I was using them, when I'm trying to do things quickly, I want to make lots of these cards, and I want to do it quickly. I also noticed they don't hold down. They don't stick down very well. Once I push them really hard, they seem to be okay. So what I discovered is I found it a little cumbersome when I was trying to peel them off and then trying to separate. I had to really pull. You can see how those aren't coming apart very easily. And then like a whole little group of them would come, and then it's kind of, like I said, see, they didn't seem to stick very well. So, you know, you kind of get what you pay for. And I was just saying to myself, oh my gosh, just give me my dimensionals back, my Stampin' Up! Dimensionals. They've got the nice little border. Everything kind of stays in. They come off really easy. When you're trying to go, you can grab lots of them, get them going. I just found this compared to this was just so cumbersome. And I found myself more times than not having to push them back down to try to keep them glued. And, you know, so just again, you get what you pay for. I have these. I can continue to use them. It's no problem. I just realized it wasn't saving me any time at all. Okay, so that's my little commercial there for, you know, you kind of get what you pay for and all of that. And the same thing kind of on these cards. I couldn't use these cards if I did not add a whole bunch of things to them to make it substantial enough to be a nice high quality card. So now we have that. I have a bow here, and this bow comes from the combo pack of ribbon that is an online exclusive. When you go shop online exclusives and key in on stampinup.com, you will see this combo pack of the silver and gold. Now, there is a lot that comes on these. I have been making silver bows like crazy. I had some people over. We use the silver for bows. I've done 18 of these bows, and there still is so much on that silver, the silver ribbon. It's amazing. So I'm just going to grab a mini glue dot. There we are. I'm going to just push that to there and pick it up. Then I'm not putting it on top of the sentiment. I'm going to go ahead and just tick it right there, kind of right on the edge of that, to give a nice little something to that. And then, let me just throw my die back in here. And then I'm going to grab just my bucket of random embellishments. This happens to have a bunch of Stampin' Up! Embellishments that are not current anymore. I just kind of keep them separate. But the Make a Card, Send a Cards is not a demonstrator only monthly swap. Make a Card, Send a Card is just an opportunity for people who love to craft to have an opportunity to use their supplies to enjoy stamping and crafting. And so I am using some elegant faceted gems, and I think I'm going to use, let's see, I'm going to use a clear one and see what we think. I'm going to use a clear one right here, and boy, then that Lost Lagoon can come up through, or I can use this frosted one. And I think I really like the clearer ones, and I'm going to use the larger one. The reason why I'm liking the clearer ones, it kind of sparkles and shines like the silver trim that we have there. And it just seems to kind of sparkle with that ribbon, and I think that's a terrific end. So our spring Make a Card, Send a Cards is coming to an end. August is the last month that cards will be sent out. And our September through February Make a Card, Send a Card time will be going on. If you are interested in knowing a little bit more about the Send a Card or Make a Card, Send a Card groups, you can check out the link below from my blog, which talks all about it and the requirements of it. I'll show you my other ones of the colors. So as you can see, of the 3 colors in the Inked Botanicals Designer Series paper, we had a nice ones that were the crushed curry design. And this one I used the one that had the bit of a polka dot design. You can see that when I hold it up close. This one here had the Calypso Coral. It was very similar in design to this one here, but it had the Calypso Coral bursts there. And then you can see my beautiful insides, those flowers of the Darling Details. So fun. There we are. Well, I hope you like that again. And again, take a look at what you have in your stash of crafts supplies and get them out and use them up. See how you can combine some of those things. And again, for information on Make a Card, Send a Card groups, and if you're interested in participating in that, check out the links below for my blog on that. And my Cheerful Daisies, a specialty class. Thanks so much for stopping in, and again, click that subscribe if you're not a subscriber, and thank you very much, subscribers. We're pretty close to getting to 1,000, and then we're going to have a really big party. Join me on Facebook on Wednesday night, but not for the couple of weeks I'm going on a trip. That's okay. Until next time, happy stampin'.